Hey, Dr. David Clark here. I want to reveal to you the type 2 diabetes secret number 1. And it's almost a myth at the same time. And the secret is the pancreas is not the only organ involved with blood sugar. Now, there are several key players. And the reason you think that the pancreas is the sole player is because, we think of insulin. And everyone thinks of insulin as this great thing, that insulin's your friend. Well, insulin is necessary, but insulin is not your friend. Insulin is inflammatory. Insulin causes inflammation in your body. And yes, the pancreas does make insulin, but there are a couple of other players I need you to know about, because if you are sitting here right now and you've been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, or you've been warned about it, right? You're worried about it because your blood sugar is not controlled. There's some things you need to know, because the pancreas is not the alpha and the omega of whether or not you develop type 2 diabetes. Of course, it's important, but let's talk about some of the other ones. You've also got your liver, and you've got your adrenal glands, and you've got your thyroid gland. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that with thyroid, that's too complicated for me to talk about in just a couple of minutes. But needless to say, if you've got low thyroid function or you've got high thyroid function, anything that's not normal, you're going to have blood sugar problems, and you're going to have trouble controlling your blood sugar. So thyroid is like its whole other animal we have to talk about some other time. In fact, look for my other posts on thyroid hormones. Let's talk about the liver for a second. The liver stores glucose, right? Glucose is blood sugar. The liver stores glucose in a form called glycogen. So the liver has to be able to manufacture this glycogen so that it's available for you later when you need it. Okay, so some people that have liver dysfunction, either from alcoholism or medication damage, or just from a bad diet or other inflammatory, there's a whole bunch of factors. If you have liver dysfunction, you're going to have trouble controlling your blood sugar. And that trouble controlling your blood sugar is what may be getting flagged with you as a type 2 diabetes, right? Or a pre-diabetes or a metabolic syndrome. And what I'm telling you is, if your doctor isn't looking from a functional perspective at liver function, then I believe your doctor is missing part of the boat. And let's go ahead and say this now. The day you get put on insulin, you should just write that on your calendar. The day that you get put on insulin is the day your health is going to go on a landslide down. Because insulin is inflammatory. And the problem is, most people, if not all people, at the point that they get put on insulin, they have a condition called insulin resistance, which means the cells aren't paying attention to the signal that insulin's trying to give. And remember, insulin's trying to get sugar out of the bloodstream and into tissues. Well, people that are insulin resistant, what that means is their cells are not listening to the signal that insulin is trying to give. They won't let glucose or blood sugar into the cell. So giving them more insulin, that just makes them more inflamed. And there are tremendous cardiovascular consequences from excessive insulin. You can just do a search in the scientific literature and see that high insulin is horrible for you. So the liver is a key player it's got to be looked at. Now let's talk about the adrenal glands. And the adrenal glands are the organs that help regulate your blood sugar. I'll make it very simple for you. The adrenal glands make a hormone called cortisol. Now, you may have heard of cortisol before. People say cortisol makes you fat. Well, here's why cortisol makes you fat, and here's why cortisol is related directly to you getting labeled with type 2 diabetes. Okay? Cortisol liberates that glycogen, that storage form of glucose. It liberates that out of your muscles and out of your liver so that you can have it to get into your cells. But what cortisol will also do, and remember, cortisol will make you insulin resistant, which means when you're insulin resistant, insulin piles up outside the cells in your bloodstream, and blood sugar piles up in your cells outside the bloodstream. And if that goes on for very long, you're going to have high blood sugar, your hemoglobin A1C is going to be high, your triglycerides are going to be high, you're going to get labeled with prediabetes or metabolic syndrome or type 2 diabetes. Now, if no one's looking at your adrenal glands, if your doctor hasn't looked at them, it's a very simple saliva test we could do to look at the health of your adrenal glands, then they're leaving part of the stone unturned. It's kind of a stupid analogy, but if they're not looking at that, you're doing it a disservice. Because if you're making too much cortisol or excessive cortisol, you're very quickly going to become insulin resistant. And now the next question is, for the good health detective doctor, is why are you making excessive cortisol? And there's a bunch of things. It could be a hidden infection. It could be stress. Okay, it could be a food sensitivity. Those are all things that could be tested for. And my point is, those are the things that could be causing your type 2 diabetes or your prediabetes. So the secret today, our secret number one about type 2 diabetes, is the pancreas is by no means the only organ involved in taking care of your blood sugar. There's the liver and there are the adrenal glands, and they both have to be examined and tested.